welcome to another session of Tech Tips with Aubrey. So today I'm going to go through some things that you can do in Google Slides that'll make them a little bit more interactive and user-friendly. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to notice here is that my screen size or my slide size looks to be a little bit different. So what I did was I went up to File, Page Setup, and I can customize. So the 9 by 14 inch slide size is actually conducive to a smartphone. So that's the reason that this is set up that way. So when parents or kids pull this up on a smartphone, it'll fill their screen and it won't be that they need to turn it or do something crazy. You can actually make this 8.5 by 11 so that your slides are printable. I do almost everything in Google Slides, to be totally honest with you, because I can move things around and they layer on top of each other as you see. So one of the things besides page setup that I wanted to go over, or changing the slide size, is how do you insert video? And that's really simple. So if I wanted to insert a little video right here on top of this circle that I've created, I would go up to Insert Video. And when that happens, you have three choices. You can search for something in YouTube, or if you have the direct link to a YouTube video like I do, you can paste that in and then hit return. And if this is the video you want, then you click on it and then say select. You have two other options. One would be by URL. So if you're pulling it from an outside source, then you would just paste the URL there. Or Google Drive, and this one is probably what's going to be most used by you. So these are going to be any of the videos that you've recorded that are in Screencastify. You have some options here as well. So videos that were shared in shared drives, videos that were shared with you specifically, or videos that you have recently worked on. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to use that YouTube one that I talked about. So again, I'm going to click that and then I'll hit select. Now it comes up in this format. If you want to resize this, you absolutely can. You can shrink it down. The beauty of a video is it actually doesn't need to take up the whole thing, because when they view it, they can click on full screen and it'll go to full screen. What I want to show you is right now my video is not selected. And you're going to notice over on the right, my formatting options are basically off. When I select the video, I've got some options over here. So let me pause that. So you can choose where the video starts. So say you have a full video from YouTube, but you really only want the kids to have to see 10 seconds of it or 30 seconds of it. You can decide where that starts. So you'll have to time that out when you watch it and write down or remember where you want it to start, and then where you want it to end. That's one setting. Another setting is you can have it autoplay when you present. So when the kids or the parents or whomever's your audience goes to this slide, it'll just automatically start playing. Another option would be mute audio. So if you just want them to see what's going on, but you don't need them to hear the audio part of the video, then you can mute that. Some other options in here are just, how you size it, the position. So if you want it centered, and then drop shadow. So if you get all fancy with what it looks like around the outside. Another thing I wanted to show you with your video specifically is oftentimes, so another thing with your video that I wanted to show you was when you drop it in, say you're dropping it into a free slide, you can actually set it apart by putting a border around it. And I like to do that just to kind of really make sure it's obvious that's what it is. So up here are your border options. This is the color you can select. This is the thickness of the border. And then this is the type. So you can do dashed, dotted, etc. Okay, so those are your video options. Another thing that's really helpful to know is how to link things. So here I have a link. This is an icon, it's a button, and you can see right now that it's linked to slide 8. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go down here, and one of the quick and dirty tricks is to use Command on a Mac, Control on a PC, and then K, and that'll bring up your link box. When you're here, you can link to outside resources, you can link to a URL, whatever, but this one down here is kind of cool. So it slides in the presentation. So you can link down or select that down arrow, and then you can link it to whatever. Now notice my slides don't have names. They just say slide 3, slide 4, and you can see that over here. What will pull these names is how you title your slides. Now, because I create my slides completely from scratch, there's not a title box in them. So that's why mine just say slide 3, slide 4. So if I want to link it to slide 3, I would say slide 3 and hit apply. And now that little bubble is linked to slide 3. And if I wanted to check that, if I go to present mode, and I click this, that's my slide 3. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is you'll notice on my slides, I've got this little house down here. So that's kind of like what we're calling a wayfinder. It's a home. So once kids or parents or the audience gets into a presentation, how do they get back out? What's kind of the constant? So this is my home button, and you'll see it's on every slide. Okay, so I just took an icon, and when you're searching inside of Google, one of the best things you can do is use the search the web. These are mostly filtered, but some tricks would be transparent would be a word that you want to use to get a nice image. So transparent house, or you could say icon, and you'll get some choices. So these pop up, okay? If you drag this, or you can see I clicked it and then I get this little blue box down at the bottom. So you can double click, or you can drag and drop, either way. Resize it. And I made it upside down on accident, but I can fix that. Okay, so there's my little house. And I want this house to be linked to my homepage. So again, I'm going to use that little trick with the Command or Control K, and I'm going to have it go to the first slide. And once I have this here, I can actually Command or Control C, and I can paste it onto every single slide, and it will continue to keep that hyperlink that I created in there. So you can see that. Okay. Another trick. I know you all know the Command or Control C, Command or Control V, so copy and paste, but there's something that you can use instead. So say I wanted to select this slide. Notice I've got this orange border around the outside. I want that to be duplicated, that whole slide. So I'm going to use Command or Control if you're on a PC, and then D as in duplicate. And notice what happened. I duplicated my slide. That works with slides. It also works with features within. So if I wanted to duplicate this GIF or GIF, that's a whole nother conversation. I could do Command D, and there you go. And I could keep doing that, yay, Command D all day long. One of the other things I wanted to point out is that people have been using these outside borders to create a drag and drop activity, which is 100% okay and cool, because if you give the kids a slide deck in Google Classroom, no matter what you do, even if you go up here to try to force a presentation, so I could delete all of that and type the word present, and it's going to force a presentation. It does not work in Google Classroom. So what you have in Google Classroom is a view only slide deck like this, so they don't have any of these tools. They can't edit it, but it does look like this. So you could put things out here that they then have to drag and drop into this current slide. So those are a few tech tips with Google Slides and creating hyperlinks, inserting video, and hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me on today's Tech Tip.